Hanukkah is one of the rabbinical holidays. Hanukkah and Purim are usually contrasted in terms of similarities and differences. And in terms of similarities on the moment, there are different mitzvahs the Torah gives us that its main function is persume nisa, to publicize a miracle. There are many other mitzvahs that maybe have as a side point, they also do publicize the nes. Let's say many things we do, zecher liyitzias mitzrayim, putting on tefillin in a couple of minutes or whatever it is. There are many mitzvahs we do for a zecher, but there are only a few that the Gemara singles out as its main function is persume nisa. And the three mitzvahs the Gemara singles out as three mitzvahs that the way the Gemara says is nashim chayavos, because normally if it's just a zecher, so if it's a mitzvah saseh shazman gram, if it's a time-oriented mitzvah, so women are exempt. But when the whole mitzvah is persume nisa, and we'll see, and women are involved in the miracle, perhaps not only just involved, but maybe even primary, so they are certainly obligated in the mitzvah. So the three things the Gemara singles out as that represent persume nisa. One is Ner Chanuka, which is coming up. Kriyas HaMegillah, the reading of the Megillah on Purim. And Daled Kosas, drinking of the 4 cups on Pesach night. Those are the three examples the Gemara gives that because Af Hein Hayu Ba'osane, since they were involved in the miracle, so therefore they are obligated.
Ner Chanuka.
Ner Chanuka, Kriyas HaMegillah, reading the Megillah on Purim, Megillah Esther, and drinking the 4 cups on Pesach night. Because in fact, that's the Tosafos question in Megillah, is the Gemara learns out, so those are all rabbinical mitzvahs, but there are 2 biblical mitzvahs the Gemara learns out from juxtaposition. So for instance, even though normally a woman is exempt from a time-oriented mitzvah, yet the Gemara says in Brachas, Daf Chaf Amud Aleph, Nashim chayavos bekiddush hayom. Women are obligated in the mitzvah in Torah of kiddush. It's a mitzvah saseh shazman gram. It's a time-oriented mitzvah. So why should they be obligated? So Gemara says, based on the 2 different words in the Aseres HaDibros, so one place it says, Zachar Shom HaShabbos U'Kadsho, to remember the Shabbos day, mainly the mitzvahs aseh. And on the second one it says Shamar, to guard it, they have to keep the Shabbos. So the Gemara has a famous drasha, Kol Sheyeshnu B'Shmira, Yeshnu B'Zechira. Whoever's included in Shmira Shabbos is included in Zechira Shabbos. So we have that drasha. That's how we know women are obligated in Kiddush. And we have a similar drasha. How do we know women are obligated in eating matzah Leil Pesach? So the Gemara also makes a juxtaposition right next to each other. Well, not exactly. Here it's the psukim are together. Here the Gemara says right next to the mitzvah of eating matzah, they put the prohibition of achilas chametz. So the Gemara makes the drasha kol sheyishnu babal, isra achilas chametz is included in the mitzvah of achilas matzah. Whoever is prohibited in chametz also has the positive mitzvah. So similar drasha they make. So Tosafos and Megillah asks, why do I need a special drasha of whoever from the juxtaposition of the psukim to say simply women are involved in the miracle of Pesach? To say Af Hein Hayu Ba'osanes, the reason why they have to eat matzah because in a miracle we went free. The whole issue in Egypt, we were slaves, we became free. So why don't we just say based on Af Hein Hayu Ba'osanes? Why do I need a special pasuk or a special juxtaposition teaching me the women are obligated in matzah? So Tosafos there gives a couple of answers, but his basic point is that if I just had Af Hein Hayu Ba'osanes, I would only know midrabanan they're obligated. That only tell me that rabbinically speaking, the rabbi said they have to eat matzah. I need the juxtaposition, or according to some, maybe be exempt at all. But the point, again, the different opinions in Tosafos, but Tosafos and Megillah writes, Af Hein only teaches me rabbinical mitzvahs, only can teach me up to a rabbinical obligation. I need the pasuk to tell me the women are obligated in matzah, biblically speaking. So we see the principle of af hein hayu ba'ozanes seems to be limited to rabbinical mitzvahs. In fact, we have also a similar concept by shalashudis. In other words, we know there's an obligation based on the pasuk that says Ichu hayom ki Shabbos hayom Hashem. It says yom 3 times in the pasuk, perhaps even 4, but it says 3 times in the pasuk. And we learn now from here there's an obligation to eat 3 meals on Shabbos. We know there's the Friday night meal, and the Gemara in Psachim goes into details. It should be 1 on Friday night. Like, let's say you want to eat 3 meals Friday night. I mean, it's okay to do it, but you still should eat another 2 the next day. And in fact, that's a general rule. 3 is the minimum. If you want to have 4 meals on Shabbos, 5, 6, you should wash and have lechem mishnah as well for those meals. But at least for 4, the Gemara talks about even having 4 meals. I'm just extending it to 5 or 6. But the point being is we have an obligation of eating shalashudis. And in fact, we know shalashudis is the hardest of the 3. And that's why it's called shalashudis. Like the first meal is called suda, the first meal, second meal, and this is called shalashudis. It says it's the 3rd meal. So to the Bali Muster and the commentators point out is because everyone eats 2 meals. Everyone Friday nights, of course you can have a meal even if it wasn't Shabbos. And Shabbos lunch you'll have a meal, but especially in the winter months now, when shalashudis comes only a couple of hours and perhaps 10 minutes after you finish lunch sometimes, depending where you go for lunch and you can't get out. But it's very quickly after lunch, so you're not even hungry. So it shows by eating shalashudis when you're not so hungry, it can't be an achilas kasa. You don't have to get sick over it. But eating shalashudis when you're not hungry, it shows you're not doing it for your own time, for your own, because you're hungry and you want to eat it. You're showing retroactively, even the first 2 meals that you ate, the nice, fine meals, when you were hungry, you did it only for the sake of Shabbos. So we know there's 3 meals to eat. So the question is, what about women? Are women chayiv in 3 meals on Shabbos as well? So the bottom line is, after our discussion, is yes, their women are also obligated in eating 3 meals on Shabbos. It's just an interesting machlokas rishonim. Why? Why are women obligated in 3 meals? Why are they obligated in the 3 meals on Shabbos? So it seems to be a machlokas to Ran and Rabbeinu Tam. So I believe the Ran writes, based on what the drasha we mentioned before, why are women obligated in Kiddush? Because yeshnu b'shmira, whoever's included in Shmira Shabbos, in keeping Shabbos, is included in Zechira Shabbos, and Pashas, the mitzvahs hayom. So we see the Ran is saying a Kiddush here, because the pasuk is only referring to Kiddush. The Ran seems to be extending kol sheyeshnu b'shmira to yeshu b'zechira, and all the mitzvahs hayom. They have to have the sudas, perhaps the lechem mishnah. The Ran seems to be including in the drasha of kol sheyeshnu b'shmira. He wants to include all these other meals. So a woman's chayiv based on that, according to the Ran. Maybe it's only midrabanan an extension, but whatever it is, that's what he's basing it on. Maybe called drabanan ke'ein daraisa tikra. I don't know if he's saying minat Torah they have to eat it or not, but that's a detail within the Ran. The bottom line, the Ran says a woman has to eat shalashudis based on that. And Rabbeinu Tam disagrees, because apparently Rabbeinu Tam limits kol sheyeshnu b'shmira b'yeshnu b'zechira to Kiddush. That's what the Gemara says it by. So then if that's the case, why are women obligated in shalashudis? So the Rabbeinu Tam comes on to another issue, because it's zeichel and nes. We know, why do we have shalashudis and lechem mishnah? It's based on the man. Those 40 years we lived in the Midbar, and of course, as the Ramban always points out, that when the Jews lived in the Midbar, that was the normal way of eating. They didn't even think twice about getting mamin hashamayim. When they moved into Eretz Yisrael, and Yeshua said, you know what, you got to start working for a living. You got to start planting trees, working the agriculture. What? From a little seed, food's going to grow out of the ground? You mean a tree? Wow, what a miracle. But the point being is, whatever we're used to, we consider nature. Whatever we're not used to, we call supernatural. Like the Bali Musa say, it's really a greater miracle at childbirth than Tchias HaMesim. But if you put childbirth on if the editor of the paper put, you know what, someone was born today, gets fired the next day. But someone had a Tchias HaMesim on his paper, then that would really sell papers. Because it's something we're used to, but fundamentally it's a bigger nace to create someone out of nothing, a little tipa strucha, than it is from something's already there. So the Ran says, Af hein hayu ba'osanei, since they were involved in the miracle of the man, so therefore they're obligated in Shalosh Shittas. So perhaps the nafkamina would be, if you assume the Ran saying Minat Torah the Chayev, whether the Chayev Minat Torah be Drabanan, but either way, so whichever reason you want to say, the bottom line, women have to eat Shalosh Shittas. And it's based on minimally Af hein hayu ba'osanei. So we find this concept, but the Gemara only, because this is more of a zeicha, the Gemara only limits the concept specifically to 3 mitzvahs, are exclusively pursuing Nisa, Nir Chanuka, Kriyas Megillas Esther on Purim, and drinking the 4 cups. That the Gemara says explicitly, I think Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Nashim Chayavos, the Nir Chanuka, the Mikra Megillah, the Dalit Kosas, because Af hein hayu ba'osanes, which touches on a very fundamental machlokas, Rashi and Tosfos and Brachas, when the exemption of mitzvahs aseh shazman grama, is that only applied to biblical laws, or does it also apply to rabbinic laws? This exemption, when the rabbis set up the halacha, did they also exempt women? If the rabbi said a mitzvah d'rabbanan to do, did they exempt women? Or so Rashi seems to say women are obligated. Women are, I think he says women are chayev in mitzvahs d'rabbanan. There is no exemption of mitzvahs aseh shazman grama. And Tosfos sees him say no. We have a general principle called d'rabbanan ke'ein daraisa tikkun, that all the rabbinical laws are patterned after the biblical laws. So when the rabbi set up the rabbinic laws, the same principles that the Torah used, they patterned after that. So from this Gemara, it would seem what would be the ways of answering it, but from the simple reading of this Gemara, that women are obligated in Ner Chanukah, Mikra Megillah, Dalit Kosas, because Af hein hayu ba'osanei, what would that imply? These are all rabbinical mitzvahs. So whose shita would it seem to be a proof for? In other words, if not for Af hein hayu ba'osanei, what are the implications?
It's rabbinical. I'm not sure.
No, that's not. That's clear. It's a given. It's rabbinical, and the Gemara is telling me the reason they're obligated is because of Af hein hayu ba'osanei. So if you didn't have the reason for Af hein, would they be obligated or not? This one, the simple reading of the Gemara would seem that they wouldn't be. Would seem to be a proof that even that on mitzvahs aseh shazman grama midrabanan, they're putter from it. And the Gemara has to, why would the Gemara need any special reason? Of course the chayev and Ner Chanukah. If we're saying the women are obligated in mitzvah d'rabbanan, yes, which is a zman grama, what do I need Af hein hayu ba'osanei for? And the fact the Gemara tells me the reason they're obligated is because they're involved in the miracle, yes, that implies like the opinion that really women are also exempt in mitzvah d'rabbanan, which is a zman grama. Yes. So those, but either way, that's why I point. That's why women are exempt. There are many mitzvahs, zeichel, yitzias, mitzrayim, let's say sukkah, and yet women are exempt from. Why don't we say Af hein hayu ba'osanei? So that's what we said. Usually that's only limited to rabbinical mitzvahs. We apply this principle of Af hein hayu ba'osanei. But biblical mitzvahs, we don't usually extend this principle to. It's only a din d'rabbanan. So the Rambam begins in the beginning of Hilchos Chanukah with that very interesting. He goes out of the normal way he begins things. The Rambam writes in the beginning of Hilchos Chanukah, B'vayis Sheni, the time of the Second Temple, Kishamalchu Yavan, when the Syrian Greeks ruled, Gazru Gzeros HaYisrael, they made different decrees on the Jewish people, L'daitam, and they wanted us to stop keeping the Torah, L'nikol, and they stopped us Asok B'Torah over mitzvahs, and the Medrash says they specifically they attacked Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh, and Milah, the 3 things that show the uniqueness of a Jew. Milah, physically speaking, Rosh Chodesh, the lunar calendar, and Shabbos is especially oath for the Jewish people. So he goes on, but the point, and he has more detail, but the point being the Rambam is usually in the Mishnah Torah, it's a halacha sefer, it's not a history book. It's very rare. Why is the Rambam going through the history of Bayis Sheni? Just tell me how many candles I have to light, what night, I want to say Hallel. That's what the Rambam does in Mishnah Torah. In his other surah, maybe he goes into philosophy, other things, but Mishnah Torah, in fact, the Rambam himself says, and some people don't like it, the Rambam says, all you need is the 24 books of Tanakh and my Sefer. Learn the 24 books of Tanakh and open up I wrote the Mishnah Torah for everyone once they learn through the 24 books of Tanakh, all they need is me. I cover the Torah Shabbat Peh. Some people felt it was a little too haughty, and that's why they don't call it the Mishnah Torah, they call it the Yad in Yeshiva, the 14 volumes. In fact, that's the famous Gra on this past week's Parsha of Vayishlach, that the Gemara talks about that a Talmud Chacham could have a 1/64th of a little gaiva, a little, we'll call it self-confidence, not haughtiness. So the Vilna Gaon, where does it get that from, 1/64th? So the Vilna Gaon points out from Yaakov Avinu in this week's Parsha, it says, Katonti mikol hachasidim. He said, I don't deserve all of this. I mean, I deserve a little of what I'm getting, but not all of this. So the Vilna Gaon points out, Vayishlach is the 8th parak, the 8th parsha in Parshas Bereshit, and it's the 8th pasuk in Parshas Vayishlach. So it's 1/64th of a guy, but we see Yaakov showing a little bit of self-confidence. But so therefore the people don't like calling it the Yad, not the Mishnah Torah. But the Rambam is a halachic sefer. So why is he going into details over here? And then so that's the question they ask on the Rambam. So he goes through. And what does he write in Hilchos Megillah? Because that's what contrasting Purim. So he writes. Also, he says, "Av shagam mitzvus kriyas Megillah hu mishum persume nisa mikol makam will kosav arabam es sipor nes." Yet, when it comes, maybe you think Chanukah and Purim are equal. They're both derabanan. So maybe he does the same thing by Purim. He doesn't. That's what the Rambam says. So it's the Rambam, because the Rambam says, I don't have to tell you about Purim because you know it. It's in Megillah Esther. My purpose of the Rambam and Mishnah Torah is to teach the Torah Shabbat Peh. So therefore, in fact, that's why he has a strange lesson. At the end, by Kriyas HaMegillah, he writes, Kriyas HaMegillah, mitzvahs aseh medivrei sofrim, it's a rabbinic, v'hadvarim yiduim, and it's well known, shehi takanas hanaviyim. I mean, it's well known. Like, why? It is well known, but why is he telling me? And I know it's well known. You don't have to tell me it's well known. And that's where Rav Salvation can point out. That's what he's getting at. The Hainu Ksuva B'Kisvei HaKodesh U'Megillah HaDvarim, because it was written in Megillah Esther, that's why it's well known. The Kaven Shekain Ein Sarach HaRambam L'Harech B'Ksiva Sefer Nes. The difference between Hilchos Chanukah and Hilchos Purim is Chanukah is pure Torah Shabbat Peh. And we'll give a whole shir on why is Chanukah left out of the Mishnayos. And it's only, and even in the Gemara, it's a couple of pages in Gemara Shabbos, while Megillah has a whole Masechta. So we'll get into the essence. We'll see the explosion of Torah Shabbat Peh actually happened during Chanukah time, the mitzvahs, Drabanan, and all that. But the Rav Salvation is pointing out here, in the Hakdama we see of the Rambam, when the Rambam goes into Hilchos Chanukah, he goes through the history, then he tells us the halacha, not the norm. But even by Purim, he just tells us the halacha, and the answer is because this Sefer of Mishnah Torah is all about the Torah Shabbat Peh, and he assumes you know Tanakh already, so it's not my job. Go put on Megillah Esther, read the story, and then I'll tell you what to do on Purim. But Chanukah, you have to go into the whole story about Yesheni, because that's part of the laws of Torah Shabbat Peh, because it's not written anywhere in the 24 books of Tanakh. Any questions?
We've covered a lot of ground.
Are we going to cover differences and similarities in the coming weeks?
Yeah. How many days, weeks? Some piercing differences between Purim and Chanukah.